Greetings and God bless. Sorry about that thing at the beginning there. So I have been kind of in a bit of a rut lately, and on Christmas, YouTube deleted my channel. I had like 300 people. It was a channel I had from 2008, 700 videos, and basically it was me talking extemporaneously. And of course, on Christmas, and just that YouTube was saying me referring to the Bible was medical misinformation, or me vaguely hinting at things that was also medical misinformation, and yet other people are straight up saying certain words and really going for the jugular about the current narrative, and yet I got strikes and my channel taken down, and maybe there was something more to it, but YouTube killing my channel certainly did not help for my mood, and my connections. Like I had, it was just like it was my main channel, and so I was listening to this YouTube video by Tom Davison that Frank James recommended. I'm going to put the name of that video, the Tom Davison video, in the chat. I don't know if the chat ever is available after the fact, but so the name of the Tom Davison video is INFJ Revisited: Learning Things the Hard Way. So in about midway in the video, he says that what an INFJ needs to do, basically to live, is to express themselves. And so, and that definitely is the case. And he mentions this a few times, and what I go into this kind of post-traumatic stress response, because then I hear I just have a flashback to when family members are yelling at me for having my opinion, for just being myself, or friends are telling me they wish I would die because I have a certain belief about something that we're thousands of miles away, and because I am choosing a different lifestyle, basically I want to breathe, that I should die. Like people have told me that and tried justifying that, and but even before this current totalitarian takeover that's been going on, people are violently opposed to my independent opinions, way of life, and they feel entitled to attack it. And so in this Tom Davison video, he's like, stop living for external approval. And I swear, like, so, and that just really hit home, because number one, I feel like the world is throwing everybody under the bus. The world is just about expediency, at least from what I'm observing from my interactions with friends or family. There's a handful that that care and are informed, and are want fellowship and to keep up morale. But there's so many people who are just like, they either want to just lie low, they think what's going to go on is just going to blow over, or people are just, they just are complicit with totalitarianism. uh and of course there's a spectrum of people, of course, and I'm speaking on a YouTube video. We've got 5 minutes in. I'm not going to do a dissertation on the demographics of all humans, around right now in their response to the current narrative. I do feel, though, even before the current world crisis, people did not care. People were not speaking up about basic dignity unless it was identity politics. People were only speaking up when it was virtue signaling about an alphabet group. People were not standing up for, like, even talking about certain medical procedures for children at an early age. Like, that was kind of taboo. When 10 years ago it was like, yeah, you should inform yourself, but now it's like, now it's like taboo. You're totally a nut if you are looking at the ingredients of certain things. You can look at the ingredients of your tofu container. You're allowed to look at the ingredients of your oat milk, but you're not allowed to look into ingredients of a vial of undisclosed chemicals that are going to be you're going to be penetrated and poured into your veins. Like, you're not supposed to look at that ingredient. Like, anyway, though, it just seems like there's so much willful ignorance and impotence. Like, I really don't know what else to do. I mean, so I'm signing petitions, and I'm sharing information with people, losing friendships. Family won't talk to me, and I guess, like, some would say, well, just don't talk about anything that upsets anybody. And currently, there's this life or death situation, not just life or death for the people that I know, but it's life or death for civilization, it's life or death for humanity, it's actually life or death for all of creation, because terraforming is going to be the consequence of a genetic modification, um, infiltration of biological life. So so part of me is like, do we just drink and eat, and for tomorrow we die? And we're not even going to be allowed to die because this genetic modification, robot, cyborg, transhumanistic thing is, it wants people to their conscience to be loaded to their consciousness to be loaded to the metaverse, so that even though they may want to die, they're going to be zombies and they're not going to be allowed to die until maybe the bitter end, when God has the white throne judgment or something like that. So anyway, I was listening to this video that INFJ Revisited, Learning Things the Hard Way, and I've just been in a rut, and it has not, I mean, my family hasn't been supportive. My old friends from college are like totally like out of it, and yes, they're consumed with their crazy life of tremendous obligations and being pulled in a million different directions and playing Angry Birds and whatever. um and maybe I shouldn't expect support from friends. That's what people will tell me. And the thing is, though, I notice other people get support. I notice other people get to be listened to. I notice other people get to be like, their friends visit them for days or weeks regularly. I mean, and I'm not saying my friends need to do that, but I just feel like I have, um, you know, not wanted to impose, and so I have such a meager, uh, you know, existence. And I have like one really good friend who I'm in touch with like every day. We're always texting. And, of course, I have acquaintances. Um, and I guess I need to do something different. And it's just kind of it's kind of a challenge when humanity is definitely is disintegrating. There's very little morality. There's very little accountability. There's a handful of people who are holding the globalists accountable, or anybody accountable. I mean, like, locally, I'm sure there's corruption locally and nobody's doing anything about it. I mean, that's what I've observed in other places that I've lived, or where there's just like this obliviousness to human decency. Like, a big thing for me is being a pedestrian, and living where things are walking distance. Like, when I lived in Norfolk, Virginia, there was no public transit to the Amtrak. Like, cabs were not necessarily available. It was when the CV first happened, and so cabs weren't driving because everybody was afraid. So fortunately, I had somebody who gave me a ride, but like, I couldn't even ask a family member because the family member was scared for his life. So I had to kind of depend on the mercy of a stranger who was more confident about their health than my family member was, so I could take Amtrak, um, in a city, Norfolk, that had no transportation for for pedestrians. Like, that's just one thing that's so consuming, is like locations where there's this minimal or no public transportation, and so everybody's expected to buy a car. So we're given this, like, you should have a car. We're going to make it impossible for you to not have a car, but you should worry about your carbon footprint, and you're killing the planet. Like, cities make it so hard to exist, and unless you're in San Francisco or New York. No, I would not say Portland, Oregon is. I wouldn't say that's a crummy place as a pedestrian. But I digress. Or maybe I don't, because the whole point of this video I'm inspired to do is that the INFJ is supposed to express themselves. We're not supposed to be some sort of success, major leader in a topic or whatever. We are just here to get a sense of something, an inspiration, and share the information with other people. And what I am realizing is, like, what's stopped me my whole life is how hostile my family has been, how hostile some of my friends have been, from for like, they're hostile to me expressing how I feel, what my boundaries are, what my observations are. And like, and it's weird because people feel that they can so freely attack me, but I don't see them attacking other people. Like, and then when I say to friends and family, like, don't attack me, stop it, then they're like, you're a Nazi or something, you're a bad person. It's like psychotic. So I mean, there must be, I don't know, is there something about the INFJ that's what I'm wondering too, is does the INFJ get targeted by malignant narcissists, in friendships or in families? And I'm wondering, are there um, narcissistic family dynamics that occur? And so what I asked in the comments section of the INFJ Revisited video, I was like, what do you do when you've lost faith in society, and when you've lost faith in yourself? Because, like, the people who have known me the longest, who should know better, like, they're hostile, like just like monstrous. And I'm talking about family, and then friends are like, um maybe they're just so consumed they can't be bothered to interact. Like, and I mean old friends from like late teens. uh like, so they're basically kind of shunning, because I'm the person that I've always been, and that means that I have independent belief systems. Like, I've always been into health, so I believe that if you do certain healthy things, you're going to be healthy, and healthy things require like filtered water and walking in sunlight and movement and connection with loved ones and getting enough rest and eating healthy foods and taking supplements, and you're going to navigate any kind of thing. And like, that's the way I've been my whole life, and now that's taboo. Now that's like a Nazi, or something like that. Um, so so it's a bit of a struggle to uh, get my basic human needs met, and when I've been in like uh, situations where I'm trying to get advice, everybody's like, "Well, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It's all on you. You need to change. You need to accommodate others. You need to just reshape yourself." And I mean, of course, I can't make anybody do anything, for absolutely, like, that's just a reality. Um, And I'm just like, where did civilization go? Like, where did humanity go? Because I just want to be around human beings, because what I'm around is not human. Like, these are not human beings. This is not humanity. This is not civilization. Um, like, this is some weird free for all, virtue signaling, politically correct display theater of utterly morally bankrupt, poor excuses for human beings, and I don't belong here, and the Bible says, believers in Jesus are not of this world, and I just feel this excruciatingly. And maybe there's a way I can make it in this world. Maybe there's a way I can endure for the rest of my life. I don't know how, because not only are people's personalities, save a handful, not only are people just so selfish, so impatient, so dangerous, so careless. Like, you're having to, when you're trying to cross the street or even like walk on the sidewalk when there's a driveway, it's all on you to avoid the crazy driver who's backing out like a bat out of hell, or, just flooring that accelerator, even though they see you, it's daylight, you're wearing a white coat, you're in front of them. But it's like, the world is all, it's like, if you're not in the biggest truck, you need to be on defensive, and like, that's what I'm observing. This world is just the made for the people with the biggest truck, made for the person with the greatest sense of entitlement, and nobody will set boundaries. None of the people who have a stronger ego, with more leverage, with a healthier mindset, they're not standing up for the rest of us, uh, and in the past, like, people did speak up. People did kind of hold conceited, entitled, law breaking or law bending, like, people who ruined the world. Like, in the past, people did say something. They weren't so afraid of saying anything. And now, like, everybody is so mute. Everybody is impotent, and nobody's doing anything about it. And like, for instance, I live in Rapid City, and it's a big tourist location, and so there's aggressive panhandling, and it's like large groups of people. They're asking for, literally, for reparations. And of course, as a solo person, single woman walking, I get targeted. They don't necessarily, they're not targeting the five family group. No, they're targeting the one person, you know? And there's no like you're just on your own, you just like and I'll be looking at live videos of other cities, and there's security that are walking in other locations. And like there's other locations where, if you don't have the local police walking down, you can have security. You have a bouncer or something like that. And I don't know what it is with Rapid, but they're just like, well, if you're stupid enough to be walking downtown, you get to be harassed by the homeless people here. And it's just, it makes being downtown just the last thing I ever want to do. Um, so I just feel like there's just so much of a burden trying to survive, trying to just walk on a street, trying to like have an interaction. Um, and yes, there's some people who are not hostile to my opinions, um, or who I don't have to walk on eggshells. So for that, I am grateful. But I guess it's just really excruciating that people I've known from the past, they just can't be bothered, and they have just hostile reactions. And so I guess what I'm wondering about, other INFJs who, we're here, I guess, to share our original content. And what do we do when those who know us hate our guts? Like they hate what we have to say. They're hostile. They wish we're dead. Um, I guess maybe what it is as well, they're being ridiculous. And I also think because I really like, I think it's important for people to share how they feel. And so I think I have made some of these people very toxic because I allow them to say what they want, to say what they really feel. And for some reason, they're very in touch with hatred and anger and hostility. And maybe I'm just a safe person for them to express their hatred, hostility, and bad feelings. And so maybe I guess what I could do in the future is say, I don't want to hear that. Of course, though, these are people who shun me, so I'm not really getting opportunity to stop the hostility. But and of course, I'm not seeking them out too. I'm not seeking out people who are hostile. Um, but yeah, so I guess for me, I have this unresolved issue about people having been unreasonably hostile, and I just didn't know what to say. Like I really don't know what to say when somebody's attacking my personality or my beliefs that have been consistent. Because I believe in informed consent. Like that's a very essential. It's even a biblical thing. God wants people to be informed about who God is, the world we're in. That's what the Bible is. It's basically it's the background, it's the disclosure, and it's the prediction. And then God wants our consent to be with Him, to engage with Him, to um, spend eternity with Him. And the thing is, it has to be consent. Like it has to be your free will, and so I believe in informed consent. And for some reason, like now that's taboo. Like now, children are like strangers get to do whatever they want to children's bodies now, and strangers get to do whatever whoever gets paid the most money gets to do whatever they want for that, for that next um, stimulus or that next medical incentive, like financial medical incentive. Like, we have just thrown millions of people under the bus. And I could have been doing more sign waving this past year. I could have been doing more activism in schools to protect children from being suffocated. So I know I could have done more as well. Uh, but at least I was like talking to people. At least I was like, testing people's perceptions, and a lot of people just don't seem to care. And hence we find ourselves in this situation right now. But I guess for my well-being, I'm going to try to just work on sharing how I feel. And YouTube killed my first main channel, and so I know that I might lose my channels because YouTube seems to have a personal issue. Like, I got a strike on a channel. I have like 10 people on the channel, and I have a strike, and from a video I did like a month ago or something like that. Like, it's just it's tough. So I guess though, you know, what I'm learning is that when you're an independent thinker, you're going to get targeted, and and I guess I would like to know, how do INFJs handle hostility from people who know them or from platforms? Like, how do you cope with a lot of rejection? And also, like, it's tiring interacting with people. It's like, I visited with a friend yesterday for a couple hours, and it took me like until 1 or 2 in the afternoon to recover because I just had to rest. Um, so I can't. Excuse me. So I can't. Um, so I got all this hostility, and then I can't balance it out with interpersonal stuff because that wears me out. So I guess I'm just really trying to figure out what to do. And this is definitely just a long um, exploration into stuff. So I don't expect anybody to really make it this far. But if you have any suggestions of, when somebody is an introvert, and when the family is trying to be really controlling, and when the family wants validation, and when the introvert doesn't give the family validation, and the family is viciously attacking, just really mean, lacking in conscience, or when friends are viciously attacking, and for some reason where the friend wants me to do what they do, like, which is so weird because I've been paleo, and my friends have been vegan or vegetarian, and they didn't. They think I'm an animal killer or something like that, but it wasn't like they wished death upon me. But now I'm like a Nazi. Um, so, like, how are people handling this insanity? And that's what it is. And I know it's insanity, and it's just really painful because it's just a lot of people that have lost their minds, because informed consent is what Western civilization is based on. So I'm sure my friends and family will say that I'm really the crazy one, but we do have documentation. We do have precedent of the Constitution and the law that say informed consent is what our civilization is based on. So it isn't me being crazy for referring to the precedent of our contracts, of our covenants, starting from the Bible. Then we could go to the Magna Carta and the Constitution and state law. So I am not crazy for referring to and standing by the fundamental values that have made Western civilization successful. That's why we have the blessings that we have, is because of our informed consent model. Tyranny is not good for civilization, it's not good for humanity, and it's not good for Earth, because tyranny and those who comply with it just are sick, selfish, immature, broken, demonized people. They have nothing to offer. Tyranny has nothing to offer other than a caution, like other than just a warning to not do this type of thing. And somehow, I mean, that's why I believe we're in a supernatural war. It's like somehow people who should know better are willfully complying with tyranny, and they're just making it happen. They're content with the harm it's caused, and uh, they're ignoring the protests that are going on worldwide. And so I've lost faith. I've lost faith in humanity, not entirely, because I'm still interacting with some people. So I still have maybe, I don't know, 15% faith in humanity. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's also my demographic. Maybe the world is meaner to people, to single women in their early 50s and 40s, single women of non-childbearing age. Maybe there's like some weird sexism or something that might be part of that, and maybe it has something to do with economics as well. So anyways, I'm just trying to figure something out, and sometimes talking things through helps. So God bless you. And yeah, what do you think? If you have any suggestions about how to handle the hostility of the world, if you have any suggestions about the decline of Western civilization, and other, if you have any other answers, speaking as an introvert, when people are trying to control you, and and it hurts. Like, what do you do when you're kind of sympathetic, maybe too sympathetic or empathetic? What do you do? So, all right, God bless.